Perfect timing.
Oh, I see.
What's going
Hello,
on?
everybody. Sorry about the technical glitch on my end. We're still getting Vlad in, so give me just a second to copy him in, and we are getting ready to start the latest edition of the E-Team. So hold on just one second. And
I can, yes.
there we
Good,
go.
man.
There's
Good.
that. And then let me get the
Perfect.
chat running here.
This
Yeah,
feels- this
I don't know
feels like-
why I did exactly the same thing the second time and it just worked.
Okay.
It feels like
I think-
it's
are
the
we-
start
okay?
of a rants about
I think-
Rants About Tech
we-
Live.
Nope, I think we're all good. I just need
see our first comment, so that's great.
Yep,
Ooh.
and for some reason though, I'm not getting it, so let me copy link. You guys, Jeff, why don't you go ahead and take it away and start us off? I'll work in the background fixing the little technical stuff, and then we will get moving.
Yeah, I mean, we having a couple of technical issues, but for us, this is as smooth as it gets. So this is great.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't be an E-Team without a few good
This is
snafus,
true.
but that's all right. Hey, everybody, hope you're having a great holiday or weekend. Holiday weekend. Where did that come from? I'm not sure what. Yeah, having a great weekend. I think I took a day off last week, so I'm confusing it with the holiday. We did have Easter recently for those that celebrate that. Yeah, so we're just gonna basically pick up where we left off last time, given the number of months that. When did we meet last, guys? That was last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we
It
had all
was-
just gotten the Manta, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, right. It was
Yeah.
very Supernote heavy. Well, you know what? Why don't we start there? So the Manta basically had a recent update. The number of things in it, but the headliner, for me anyway, with stickers. What
Mhm.
are your thoughts about that?
You mean the clip art?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
dude.
That's what I thought. That's what I
Dude.
thought. That's what I thought we were
Dude.
talking about. I wasn't
What-
sure. I wasn't
are
sure.
You, are you proud of yourself right now, by the way? Did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, actually,
I wanted to be the
seriously,
first to say clip art. I think someone's going to take it away from me.
Do you mean that in a derogatory way?
He
No,
does.
I mean that in the most heartfelt way because I was a fan of clip art back in the day. I probably overused clip art back in the day. And Clippy, come on.
Clippy and clip art.
Yes,
So
they
that-
go
so
hand in
now you're
hand.
bringing that hot mess into the equation.
They're mutually exclusive in my book. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, they are. They are literally mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Okay. So Vlad, you want to give us a serious take?
on the stickers.
Yes.
I think it's good. It's just like a fun way to make, additions to notes, and I do want to make a lot more myself. I've only briefly dabbled in it. What about you guys?
Actually, Ed, you want to?
I was just going to say, me and Ron, and I don't know if anybody saw, but Jay popped in and said Ron's been getting ready for that one for days.
Word.
So I talked to Trey about this actually over Easter because he's an engineer, you all know, and he loves it because he can do like a base sketch and save it as a sticker. And since it's strokes and not clip art, my friend, since
What
it's not
device
an
is he using?
image, he's using the Nomad. So he got the Nomad from me when it was just too small for what I could do. And I wanted,
Yeah.
I don't like anything to go to waste. So I asked him,
Sounds
I
like
said,
he
hey,
put it
you want
to good
this
use.
thing? Uses it every day. I mean, he's a design engineer. It's what he does. And I told him about the sticker thing and he was like, oh, that is awesome, because he's constantly starting from the same sketch or starting from the same thing. And with this being a stroke collection, basically it's fully manipulatable. That's such a hard word to say, but he loves it. So that's why I thought it was cool. Not that I'll use it probably as much as like Vlad will or people who bullet journal or anything like that, but the potential of the tool itself.
I think for me it was big because I literally have a file on the Supernote that says icons, and it is just a notebook full of icons that I've drawn to signify certain things when I'm doing my notes, when I'm writing up stuff, and I will copy that note, paste it whatever new note I'm writing, and then they'll always be right there. But I have a file that's just for icons. This basically supplants that for me. It basically takes over that for me, and in a better way, it gives me ones that I don't have to come up with myself, in a place that they're organized, right, and it's a dedicated spot for them. So it's a win-win for me. It's a win-win.
I feel like it came out of left field. Like they didn't
Oh,
really have any. Like,
we should get into
announcement,
this
yeah.
left field stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I saw someone on Reddit posted like they converted a bunch of stuff into the stickers and then like posted it for kind of like open source it almost, so you could just like go download them. So it's cool because it gives the community.
It creates a
options to, like,
market.
share stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeff, what do you think? You said we might be surprised.
I just did that just for fun. I think it's brilliant. And I want to be clear that I don't necessarily know if it's going to be a popular feature and that sort of thing. But what I mean by that is that low risk, high reward. And right, so if it doesn't work or it doesn't take off, no big deal. And if it does take off, does it do? I think it takes. We all like Supernote, right? It's my daily driver, but it is a little bit sterile. And so this adds an element of fun to the mix, which I think is great. And it's as easy to use as headers. It's very similar in that regard, right? In terms of creating your own icons and saving them. No, it's a brilliant move, actually. The more I think about it, the more I like it, because it just takes this perspective of being a very staid professional tool, and it adds that element of fun, which I think potentially a best case scenario could broaden the audience for the device.
Yeah, well, I want to follow up on that real quick, Jeff, because I heard about these last year in like an offhand comment from the chief chat officer on Reddit, because I had asked him about something and he's like, "Oh, well, we're coming out with stickers." And I'm thinking to myself, all right. I mean, because I had the same thought I think Rod did, that this is just going to be clip art. This is just going to be an image. It's going to be an icon. It's going to be something that you can't really do a lot with. And then it comes out and I'm like, okay, this is the most Supernote approach to graphics that I could think of, because anything now can be a sticker.
Yeah.
And that was just, and Vlad, you draw, so I mean, I'm waiting for little like Manta stickers and stuff that you draw.
I do want to. So I've been traveling out, so I haven't had time to like play around with it a bunch. But like, do you guys know what file format it saves those in?
Oh, I don't.
It's just a stroke. It's a collection of strokes.
But I think the file format is a dot note. It's not a dot note.
Well, it's within the note, the .note file, but basically the sticker itself is just a collection of strokes. So like if I draw a box, that becomes, and I tell it it's a sticker, it saves that collection of strokes as that sticker.
So it's not like a PNG file or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
And it's resizable. Like you can lasso it and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't mirror it, and you don't. And Rod raises this point, which I think is a good one that Supernote should think about, is having that the extra crossbar, so the extra points where you can kind of manipulate it and change it rather than just. They do that in Atelier with the marquee feature, but they don't do it in the notes. So.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of the stuff that they're doing at Ratta lately has been geared towards creatives. Like, and I think it's a brilliant move to decide you want to cater to that particular crowd. I mean, case in point, a lot of their marketing for the Nomad is around like outdoorsy, like creative types. they're climbing mountains. They're drawing sketches of the mountain they just climbed. You know what I mean? Or
Oh, I see.
you know what I'm saying? Or like or one where I saw the guy was a director. He has got a camera in one hand and a Nomad in the other hand. You don't see him, but you see those two things in the shot. It's and on the Nomad they've got like scene 1, scene 2, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're catering towards the creative types, and I think that's a brilliant move, especially with it seems like that way to me, anyways, with the new things that they've been coming out with. I mean, we're probably going to talk about that here. The ability to use the Supernote as a Wacom layer, just as a straight Wacom tablet. I mean, it's just stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, they're targeting artists with that specifically.
So, Rod, I have to throw in here. Great
Yeah.
joke by the fantastic comedian Dave Attell, talking about what women want. He described, I want someone who's outdoorsy and has a sense of humor. They want a rodeo clown. And that's the joke I thought of when you talk about creatives on the outdoors.
And funny, because they want you to be funny too. So, yeah, a rodeo clown for sure.
Yeah, I could just see one running around being chased by a bull, and they're destroying them.
So Brian dropped in the chat the stickers have an SNSTK extension. So maybe
Supernote
that's
sticker.
what creates maybe that's what creates the stroke collection. But I know you can alter them at depending on which note you're in. So if you're in a real-time recognition note, you have to alter them at the whole stroke. Otherwise, if you put them in a traditional standard notebook, you can fine line them and take off little details and actually use the eraser more like a drawing. So thanks, Brian, for that.
I don't draw a lot on mine, but every once in a while, I'll see something that's a really important idea, and I'll draw a key. And that's the perfect sticker, right? And so that's just a simple way of how these little cute things can come into note taking. It doesn't diminish the notes, but it adds a little bit of value to it. At least that's how I look at it. Well,
you're doing yourself a favor by not drawing on the Supernote platform there, Jeff. So don't feel bad about that.
Thank you.
Rod is such a hater.
And I want everyone to know that this is only going to get worse. And we're going to go low.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, though, they're doing a lot better, and I honestly think the Ratta's going to start giving us more tools in the drawing Atelier app. Atelier? Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, there we go. The drawing app.
I say it wrong too.
So I wholeheartedly think with this new push toward creatives that they're going to start giving us some more serious tools in that drawing app. I really believe that.
Well,
I think that's the
they've
next
already
thing.
changed. No, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just gonna let me riff on that a little bit, because I did a series of polls in the beginning of the year about what other people are using, their use cases for. And so what I basically said was, okay, if you're doing notes, what brand would you use for notes? And I did for a number of categories. Sketching was one of them. And I'm actually gonna have a video with those results out in a week or so. But what was interesting was the sketching one. And Supernote was, I believe, the top vote getter, which surprised me. For sketching, and it surprised me to be over Remarkable. I always think of people using Remarkable to do sketching, but at least in this group, and this was the e-ink subreddit, so it's not, it's a little bit of a biased channel in a sense, but I was surprised at that. So it really is taking off the Supernote as a tool. And in fact, speaking of that, Vlad, I mean, what were your thoughts if you had the choice to sketch on a Supernote versus a Remarkable? And I don't care if you're talking about the Paper Pro or the two. What would you pick?
I feel like, okay, so the Remarkable feels more like actual pencil.
Yes.
But the Supernote has the option of kind of blending and shading a little bit better in terms of the eraser tool and just the fine point control. So I actually think the Remarkable Paper Pro is more fun to draw on, but Atelier on like the Manta or the Nomad is more like a tool, like, you know.
Well, and Vlad, I have a follow-up question for that because I know I think that, and this is maybe
Also,
a
Ed,
case,
how's
maybe-
your class going? How's your class going?
It's
Were
good.
you
We
doing
were
Brad?
talking about.
You were doing Brad's drawing thing, right?
Oh, that okay. I thought you meant the class I'm teaching, but you know, the class I'm
Oh,
taking.
sorry. Well, that too.
No, I fell off.
He's got
a
two
little
good things to
bit, so
report.
I've got to get back on the horse. It's we've been implementing a new LMS, and we had it's the end of the term, so I've been nonstop
Busy,
grading.
yeah.
But as soon as that's done,
How much of it did you do?
I got through about 2 weeks of it
Okay.
before I had any break because I got ahead over the holidays and I was
Yeah.
doing several a day because it was fun and I was learning things. So I was into 2-point perspective. That's what I was doing.
Okay. It's a good course.
And that, what? Yeah, it's a really
good
good course. He's really bite-sized chunks and he kind of takes you through it. So, but that's why I was asking you because I think Atelier, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is geared more towards people who already know how to draw, who already kind of know what the tools should be, how to use them, and it's more for creative drawing because Trey doesn't touch it. My
Yes.
son doesn't touch it. He uses the Notes app because he does technical drawing, and he thinks the tool set in the Notes app is actually better for
Yes.
technical drawing. And so
Yeah,
I was going to ask your
now,
opinion
now
on
that you have line snapping too,
Yes.
like and also like the marker and stuff like that, they don't have that in Atelier, so it's kind of it's just I feel like they need to like they haven't updated Atelier since it came out pretty much. Like they did like bug
Oh,
fixes.
they just
but there hasn't
dropped a
been
new
any-
one. Have you
Oh,
seen
did they
it?
actually?
They've got
No, I
new
haven't.
canvas sizes.
Let me
They've got
update my Nomad
4K
right now.
canvas sizes and
You know what you
But
did?
I'm saying,
What
I'm
they did
saying,
add?
I'm saying feature wise,
oh no.
No.
like
Other
they haven't
than-
they haven't done anything since it launched feature wise.
There are no new tools,
There are no new
I mean,
tools. There's no
yeah.
opacity. There's nothing.
and
there's
there's
like
still no fill,
Yeah.
which is what gets me. The fill.
shapes.
That's-
I mean, line snapping's not even in Atelier, right?
No.
No, it's not.
Let me take a quick pause here, guys. I got a little bit of feedback that I was popping. I switched mics. How do I sound?
You're a little
lower.
A
quieter.
little quieter.
Lower.
Okay.
But it's not popping.
No, it's not popping.
Yeah, it's not popping now. Oh, there it was. I didn't see it until just now. So
So speaking of drawing in Supernote, is it too early to talk about the A4X2?
yeah.
No.
It's
No.
never
But,
too
but,
early
but before
for
we
me.
switch to that, before we switch from that though, are there any of the other features that you guys think were really decent in this latest update we were talking about with the Wacom and the stickers? Was there anything else big before we move on to the A4? I think those might have been the two biggest things, but just wanted to make sure.
I think the line snapping, which actually came out a little earlier, but then
Yeah.
I think the Wacom tablet feature is really cool. When everybody else, and we can get to this, I kind of changed the description this morning to say, you know, Spectra 6 and then all these active stylus movements.
Oh,
You know,
gotta talk about that. We gotta
Supernote
talk about
seems
that.
to be saying, no, we're a Wacom tablet and we're going to be a Wacom tablet and we're going to keep this layer on our stuff. And by the way, you don't have to go out now and buy a Wacom tablet because you can
That's a
plug
good
this
point.
thing in and use it as a traditional Wacom tablet. You won't be able to see anything on your screen, but there's a whole bunch of those old school Wacom tablets still in use and still being
Yeah.
sold. I mean,
My
Brad
brother uses
Como
his on
just
a
did a
daily
brand new one
basis.
the other day.
Yeah. But I think that it's a good thing though. I think that Wacom layer is awesome, and I think that but and you're right, Ed. I never thought about that, but it's almost like they're doubling down on the Wacom when everyone else is like going away from Wacom.
Can someone explain that to me? I don't understand the move to capacitive styli. I don't get the benefit. I love EMRs. I'm lost here. I'm really I can't see the angle.
We were talking about it
confused
last
too.
night in the Discord. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vlad.
No, I was just saying,
Jeff,
I'm
you're
confused
still a
too
little
about it.
low, by the
Oh.
way.
So
Yeah, I don't
so
know
the
how
thing
to
for me,
increase that.
and we were talking about it last night in the Discord, and Jay made some really good points about the debate between Wacom and USI. There are no benefits per se to like over and above Wacom as far as performance goes, pressure sensitivity. So you're not gaining anything there. Jay seemed to think that it was something. Jay, don't let me put words in your mouth, but he seems to think that there are benefits to choosing your digital layer in a sense. But then he came up with some information that said that maybe they don't get to choose the layer, that maybe e-ink itself may be going away from the Wacom standard because it looks like these capacitive layers that they're putting on the USI standard that's coming on the e-ink screens are coming from the e-ink corporation. So the companies aren't putting them on after the fact, like they're not deciding to go away from Wacom themselves. This is coming from e-ink. And there's no advantage. You know what the advantage is? Cost, because you got to pay for Wacom. Wacom's a solidified standard, and they have to pay to license that technology. Whereas USI is an open standard, they don't have to pay that licensing fee. They can just come up with their own version of that standard and use it. And that may be the thing. It may be about cost savings.
I think it has to be about that because when I put out my Paper Pro review, I think I mentioned that I was like, okay, maybe they added USI to get rid of the Wacom layer to then make it thinner, like pen to paper distance better. But then someone commented and they were like, well, the Wacom layer is actually behind the screen. So it's under the screen. It adds no depth to the screen. So in that sense, there's no reason why would you switch. Like it has to be cost, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know. What do you think?
But see, I don't think so because you order the stack, right? So you order the stack from e-ink, correct? So if you want the Wacom layer, they're going to give you a Wacom layer because they're going to pass that cost along to whoever's ordering the stack. Yes, that device might be a little more expensive because of that.
Well, so is it coming from e-ink or are they adding their own Wacom layer under it because it's not part of the screen?
It's coming from e-ink.
It's coming from e-ink.
But you could, but this doesn't. I don't understand this because you can still eliminate the cost by telling e-ink, go ahead and give me a stack without the Wacom layer. E-ink doesn't have to pay for it, licensing fees to Wacom. So cost is still
the driver.
That still makes sense. That might be the reason why this is happening.
Yeah, you're super low. I can hear you, Jeff, but you're still super low.
Yeah, I boosted you, Jeff. Can somebody let us know in the chat? I boosted Jeff to see if I could boost his audio on my end, and if he's coming through okay, then it may just be us having trouble hearing him. I would say about this.
He's saying his audio level is low, yeah, but not popping. So
I'm gonna go back to popping.
Yeah, I'd rather the popping for sure.
Baby.
Now I gotta remove
it's going
for
my next trick.
So here's my take. I think that they want to push people to a proprietary stylus. I'm the cynic in the group.
Thank you, Ed. No, you're not, I'm with you.
I think they want to push to a proprietary stylus. That's what Apple does. And Remarkable is basically the Apple of e-ink, and they're the first ones who really, well, I take it back. Kobo did it first, I think. Correct, Jeff? You all have had more of these devices. Didn't the Ellipsa, wasn't it the first one to kind of have that active stylus?
No, well, depends on how you define it. So when e-ink screens started, you're going back to the Sony DPT-1, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That had an active stylus. So the industry started with an active stylus, and then we started to see the introduction of the Wacom layers, and now we're returning back to that.
Yeah, I meant the return, but I agree with you. I think that that's the part that has me concerned is you see who's pushing back.
Well, so we don't have to talk about this right now, but the new Boox 13.3 color, that seems to have an active stylus, right?
Yes,
It does.
it's
Yeah.
active as well. Yeah.
And so is the
and the
Go
new
7.
color. The Go 7, yeah. So the new Go Color 7 and the new Go 7, they both have active. And you know what's weird about it is, I was talking about this on the live the other day, is that, and this is why I agree with Ed with his theory on the exclusivity thing, is even between Boox devices themselves, you can't use different pins. Well, maybe you can, but they explicitly say on the website, the Go 7 pin is not compatible with the Tab X. Well, it didn't say the Tab XC explicitly. It just says no other devices. It's only compatible with the Go 7 and the Go Color 7. So even within their own platform, the pins are exclusive. You see what I'm saying? So that's what makes me think that they're trying to go for an exclusive angle here, because why else would you do that?
Well, and Jay put in here, it's kind of hit or miss, but like I've told you all before, some of the S pins work on my Supernote and some don't. So even with Wacom, you have some variability occasionally with something that may be in there, I think. But with USI, it seems to be very hit and miss. As far
Are the new
as
Boox ones USI?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Are the new Boox ones USI? Do you guys know?
Yeah.
we think
Well,
they
well,
are.
we don't know specifically. This is an assumption off them making the active claim, and since that's the only other active technology we know of that they use for these tablets, that was my assumption.
Do we want to talk a little bit, Vlad? You kind of introduced the Boox. I can't remember what they call it. The new 13-inch XC.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you want? I can.
I
Tell
mean,
you
I think that was well overdue. We had even talked about that in previous lives. We were like, they need to release a big color device. You know, it's like,
Yeah, I just think here's my take, which I don't think is super surprising. Actually, let's go back in the Wayback Machine. So remember when the Remarkable Paper Pro came out? My argument was this actually makes 13-inch devices obsolete. Then the Boox Note Max comes out at $650, and I have to reverse course because my whole thesis was that the 13-inch category was too expensive. But now that we can see that we can make it cheaper, maybe you do like that real estate after all. And now we're going back because I would not pick something at this price point. And then we're adding in the active stylus. I kudos for Boox. I think this is the first Kaleido 3 on a 13-inch that has that 300 PPI
Yes.
for black and white and 150 for color. So great, but I would not buy this at that price point.
I'm glad you said that.
$800.
Almost.
It's like
750.
800 or something, right? Yes.
Yeah,
It's 800.
800.
Oh. I agree with that take there, Jeff. Oh my goodness, what was the point I was going to make here? But the Tab XC and having that 150 PPI for color was big, because I had been saying for a long time that if they did this, it was going to be around 100 PPI, maybe 110. Just like there was another device that was using a 13-inch color display, and it was 104 PPI. So I'm thinking they're not going to do much more than that. So kudos to them, exactly, for getting it out there at 150 PPI. That is compelling. That's compelling.
Yeah, I have no interest. None. I have none. I'm sorry.
Hold on. What about the
Note
Go
Max,
Color?
I have interest, but
What about the Go 7? The Go 7 to me, it might be the strongest competitor to the Nomad I've ever seen.
Let's pause here for a second, Ed. Let me flesh this out. I'm just curious. If they released a Manta with Kaleido 3 color, would you be interested?
No.
I didn't think so.
So the color, you're not interested in the color.
No, it's mostly. I mean, and I don't like the Boox approach. I mean, again, for some people, I think it's the perfect tablet and the perfect ecosystem to be in. For me, it's just not. It's overly complex. It's trying to do too many things, and it's and then you just add color and everything else to this thing that they're bringing out, plus the 2 different OSs, because this is now the Tab OS, and it's I don't. For me to want color, it would have to be as fast as Kaleido and as good as
Don't
Gallery.
say the Remarkable Paper Pro. Oh,
No, I mean, as far as the color vibrancy. I mean, truth be told, for me to really want color, it would need to be Spectra 6 because I've been watching Vlad's stuff. But
yeah.
again, I don't need color
Yeah.
in my workflow for what I do.
I'm the same way,
It doesn't make any sense to me to pay a premium for something I'm never going to use.
So Jeff, really quickly, on the bigger devices, so the 13.3s, like you were talking about, versus the Remarkable, do you think that on the 13.3, like the split screen is very useful on books?
Well, okay, so it is for sure, and that's going to give you more real estate for split screen. On a personal basis, I don't use split screen ever.
Okay.
But that's also partly because I'm definitely more on the note-taking side of the house and less on the annotation side of the house. Now, if I were doing the latter, I could see where maybe I would do that. Either split screen or that feature where you can add a blank page in and put notes on the side. It might be that. But
Jeff, you got too many devices to be doing split screen. Be real. I got a device over here. I got this one right. What am I doing with split screen?
That's
What are you talking about,
so
Raj? You got a whiteboard full of devices.
2,
Hey,
3,
listen,
4. I've got 4 devices.
Keep my whiteboard out of this.
within visual.
Sorry,
But
I didn't
yeah.
mean to cut you off.
So someone was saying, who was saying that they think the 7-inch is the biggest competitor to the Nomad? Was that you, Red?
That was right.
Yeah, I think is that the biggest competitor to the Nomad we've ever seen, because it's pretty compelling at $219. I mean, it doesn't come with a case or a pen, but neither does a Nomad. So I mean,
I'm going to push back on this, and I'm really curious what your guys' take on this. 7 inches is too small of a canvas to write on. Now I can jot lists down. I might jot some quick ideas. I might score a game right on 7 inches. There's a huge difference between 7 and 7.8, and the Nomad I think
or the
8
8.2 on the V Woods,
Right. So I'm not feeling it. There's this huge move toward the 7-inch space. I think BigMe. We had the Libra Color. You have the BigMe last year. BigMe's releasing a new device with cellular. Now you've got Boox releasing it. A lot of activity here. But I'm not so sure about it.
I only say that because it's no front light, no color. It's in that 7-inch range, and it's essentially a reader with a notes app.
Right.
I'm like, eesh. It felt like Nomad territory to me when I saw that.
See, to me, it's like if you strip the Nomad down of all of its functionality.
It's like
I'm sorry, guys. The Nomad's too small for me, but it's also, if you're in that form factor, I just don't see it.
Okay. He's like, you stripped it of everything it's good at.
And I just held up the Moby Scribe, and Jeff, I agree with you. I mean, the price point that thing's at right now, I'm sorry. And even the color version, I think, has taken a price hit. So to me, Boox has got nothing on that, just because of the ease of functionality of use. Even though it doesn't have the tools I need, I'm not going to use it for a note taker, but for someone wanting to get into the space and do e-ink and have a nice little device that happens to also be waterproof and, pretty durable, I mean, Jeff, you gave it an award because you thought it was so good. And I agree with you. I think it's a really good little device.
It is. It's going away. Like I would be shocked if by the end of the year Mobi Scribe is selling in the Western market at all.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Jay, come on, man. Sorry, I have to call out Jay. No, V-Woods Mini, no. No.
The only thing I don't like about the VWoods Mini, I liked it a lot, except, and I've heard other commenters talk about this, is the lighting. And I know that's an e-ink thing, but the front
Yeah, it's
lighting
kind of
is not
cool.
even,
It's
and
kind
you
of
get
cool,
that
right?
splotchiness, and it really
And-
sticks out for me in the Mini.
And Jeff, I feel like it's like probably one of the biggest pen to paper distances I've seen.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like you can really like see the especially when you compare it to the VWoods, the normal VWoods,
big
right?
one, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's very noticeable.
What do you all think about this? You all have seen the Palma. I haven't actually held it in my hand. Did you actually had one, didn't you, Jeff, at one point? Or no, you got the BigMe. You didn't get the Palma. Okay, but they're roughly
Right.
the same size.
Yeah.
So Jay's saying that really it's not that much of a size difference if you go with something like the Boox or like the Go 7. I don't know.
From the Palma to the Go 7?
Yeah. I mean, I know the Palma has a bigger diagonal than you think it would.
Well,
From the way
the
it
Palma
looks.
doesn't have any note-taking capability. It's a pure
No.
reading.
No,
It's like an
it does.
iPod Touch of e-ink.
It doesn't have a pen capability, and it doesn't have a notes app either at all.
Right.
So this is a little bit different, and I think the squared nature of this is. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Had this thing been rectangular, I might be buying it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Had it been rectangular and without the two
Which one?
buttons, the
Go 7?
the Go 7.
Yeah.
Had it been a normal tablet like form factor and not a reader form factor, and the two, I would have bought this. If it was just a tablet like they normally produce without the buttons, they just called it a reader and a notes app, I would have bought it.
See, I think the buttons are actually a nice throwback to be able to just hold it in one hand and advance and go back for the actual, if it's a reader.
Right, as a reader.
You know, it's what I always say, and I'm gonna say this is now the third time we've been together that I'm gonna say this. Boox doesn't know what they want to be when they grow up, because now it's a reader with maybe a writer, a notes app. Make up your minds, guys.
They just
You
throwing
know?
stuff at the wall and see what works. And
Better
people are
than
gonna
Big
buy
Me,
it.
Yeah. Well, you know all about
So-
that BigMe ecosystem, my friend.
I know. I keep reviewing those damn devices. I mean, there's some things to say about them, but they're Boox is clearly in a higher lane in terms of the quality of the devices and the software. I've got the BigMe equivalent, the B7. I've ordered that. They snookered me on that, so I'll be reviewing that.
Okay. You
I
guys
can't
want
help
to
Is the
I
B7
brought-
the monitor?
No, the B7 is a 7-inch. The twist here is you can put a SIM card in it.
Ah, okay. Have you has anyone tried the Highbreak Pro?
I have
Yeah,
not.
that's the one I reviewed.
Jeff has.
Thoughts on it generally?
So
That doesn't sound good.
my summary is it is a solid mid-range phone if you need an e-ink screen on your phone. I don't. I like e-ink because I like e-ink. That differentiates me from folks that do it because of eye strain issues or other health related issues. So that's a different story. But because I don't need e-ink, I just like it, I would never pick an e-ink phone over a regular phone.
You know
Yeah.
what? I would almost say that. But let Boox put a SIM card in the next Palma. I'm buying it.
How does the Highbreak's screen tech compare to BSR?
Trying to think back. It's only been like a month, but I've completely forgotten. It was fine. Like I don't. There was a little bit of ghosting, I remember, but it I don't know. I'm so blind to ghosting now, honestly. Like I'm not as sensitive to it as other people are. Unless it's obscuring what I'm trying to read, I'm actually pretty tolerant about ghosting. It was
Yeah.
fine. I don't remember it sticking out for me.
Yeah, I canceled my order, Vlad, just so you know. I had it on order. I was one of the ones that was supposed to get an early shipment. I was going to buy it. And then I sat down and I thought of it, and my Galaxy was up for renewal. And I'm like, okay, I can get this Galaxy for cheaper than I'm going to buy this e-ink phone that doesn't do half the stuff. What do I want to use it for? And so it's always with me that same intentional technology type thing of what do I really want to use my phone for versus what I want to use my e-ink tablet for versus what I want to use my computer for. And I went to the store and I said, I want to cancel my order. And they said, okay. And I mean, they were great about it. BigMe was absolutely great customer service wise. They were like, yep, no problem. And they refunded it. But I just couldn't see, to Jeff's point, why I would make the trade-offs if I didn't need to do that. If I did have vision problems where I needed an e-ink screen or I was having trouble that way, your review was genius, Jeff. I think it really gave it a good runway and pointed out the right stuff. But for me, it doesn't make sense in my workflow or in my life because my phone does what my phone should do. And why would I change that?
Yeah, and I'll throw out, like, there was a point that Poster made. I think she goes by Julie Paradise, a great person. Anyway, she made the comment that she was traveling in Europe and folks were impressed that she could just pull out her phone and see it in sunlight. I don't understand that I used to understand that, but I don't understand that anymore. So I've got like a Pixel phone and I can see it even with polarized sunglasses on doors. Like, so that it is because it's bright enough and it doesn't bother me. So I think that used to be a compelling reason. I'm not so sure it is anymore. That is to say, to go with e-ink. So yeah, I just don't, I liked it for what it was. But you have to say, I want the e-ink screen. I'm willing to give up some things about my phone. And I just wasn't willing to give anything up.
You guys want to circle back to the A4?
Yeah.
Good call.
I do want to talk more about these phones, but let's get to that later because I think it transitions well into different e-ink alternatives.
Yeah.
So Rod,
So
thoughts?
yeah, who wants to start? Go, Rod.
The A4 is never coming out. No, I don't know.
Hey, last time.
Listen, I think I was right about that. I think I was right about that. I think Ratta just decided to say, you know what, before the end of the year, let's pull the trigger. But it was a good call.
I have
on
you
that
in
part.
an IU shirt that says the opposite.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Hey,
Wait a
Totally
minute.
Quiet.
Hold on. Rod, did I hear that correctly? Are you saying you predict the A4 to be released before the end of the year?
No,
Oh, you're not. Okay.
no.
Okay.
Well,
I'm
I
done
mean,
with- I'm done with predictions.
historically, they seem to have had like the November, December release every year, right?
Every 2 years, right? Or no, the Nomad
No,
came
every-
out
every-
directly.
well,
yeah, you're right.
Since the Nomad, it's yearly.
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but could come
That's
out.
interesting. I didn't thought about that.
Yeah, they tend to release in December because I think the A5X was in December too. If I recall.
It was just it was.
So I think they tend to do that. I think it'll come out, but I don't think they're going to rush it, especially now that people are starting to flood the market with it. I think they're gonna wait. I mean, it may come out this year. I've heard nothing. So just to be perfectly clear, I've heard nothing about it other than
And that's the
they're
way
working
it should
on
be.
it.
Right.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Shut
Yep.
up about it until you're about ready to go, and then just pump the news out. But that's perfect.
I think they learned a little bit.
Yeah.
And I also think they're getting a lot of goodwill right now with their user base by pushing out all of these new things.
Oh yeah.
By doubling
What's
down
the-
on fixing bug fixes and putting in the straight lines, and they've got shapes coming and they've got stickers and they've got I think right now they're saying let's take care of our base. Let's figure out where to go from here, and then build the software so that when and build it with the A4 in mind. So when you go there, you're already set. I mean, that goes to kind of our last question, Jeff, so I'll stop there. But I think that, that's a really smart approach on their end to keep it a little closer to the vest and think about what do we need to accomplish.
Yeah.
It
Well,
runs
it
for
should,
all
um,
24.
it should be thinner than the Manta, right? Because it wasn't it categorized as slim in their.
Yeah.
They took that out. No,
Yeah.
the A5 was a slim. The A5,
Oh,
they had an A5
No, but
slim,
I thought the
slim
A4
version.
I thought the A4X2 was supposed to be slim, wasn't it? Or am I wrong?
Not that I recall. I have to be wrong.
I think it was.
Vlad, but I
Wasn't
don't
there a
think so.
Reddit post? Wasn't there a Reddit
I think
post
even
back
if
in the
they,
day?
I think even if they were trying to do that at one point, I think the writing is on the wall with the release of the Manta, the design language they're going to take with this new bigger one. I'd be super surprised if it was a thin, and then they didn't make this thin.
I think they're going to double
Yeah,
down on the
I agree.
modularity. I think it'll be very similar to the Manta in design.
Me too.
If I had to guess, because they said the reason they weren't doing the A5 Slim was because they couldn't figure out the design problems, and that's what led to the Manta being the way it is, because they wanted to still achieve modularity, which nobody else seems to care about.
Okay, so I found the old Reddit post. It is not listed as slim. You're right.
I'm not always right,
What a
Vlad,
rip
so I'm
on
glad
what
you checked, because
Well, that's what we're calling it out. We should get credit for one. But I do want to riff on what you're saying, Ed, is that Supernote has recovered from the guffaws of last year, and the
Yes.
Manta release was a success. They've got some good software going out. I like where Supernote is at right now.
I do too.
So I do too, but one thing, what do you guys think about accessories?
What do you mean? As far as
the lack thereof. Is
Well,
that
why do they have a pogo pin? We haven't seen anything use that, right?
I think
I see.
I think they're leaving it out there for the I think they're doing the same thing they or the same reason they did it in the Nomad and didn't release any accessories for it. It's because they're leaving it out there for the DIY community to make something for it. And they're just leaving it open that way. I really do think that's what they're doing with this. And also, I think we might have mentioned they have a way to turn the power off to those pins in the latest
new
update.
update.
So yeah, so I mean, it's clear they want something to be done with it. You know what I mean? And I think they're leaving it up to the aftermarket, the DIY market, to do something.
So I'm
just
waiting
like-
for a type folio. I feel like that could be in the works.
And again, going back to what we said earlier, they're probably holding their cards close to their chest on this, as they should. So if they are doing something, we won't know until it comes out. And again, that's perfect. That's what they should be doing.
Well, and I would say too about the pogo pins. I mean, I think you did this, Rod, on live, but I did it when I first saw it. It doesn't just it's not just a toggle switch. They actually, if you click on the little information icon, it explains to you what pogo pins are and what they do, like why they exist. It takes you on a visual tour of pogo pins, which to me builds into that DIY community. I mean, they have this whole new, or DIY, I keep saying DIY, but the DIY mentality of, hey, you don't like our pin loop? I love it. Most people hate it, but you don't like it? Build your own. You don't like our folio? Build something else. We'll give you the specs. We'll give you the design language. That
And
stuff,
they have the
nobody's
3D
doing.
files. They
Yeah.
have 3D print files where you can 3D print this, or you at least have the specs for the back of their device. So they're encouraging people to, hey, here are the dimensions, here are the specs, everything you need to make whatever you want to make for this thing. Go do it. And I think that's why those pins are there. And like again too, they did nothing with the Nomad pogo pins. And you know what I mean? It just seems like, okay, it's been over a year. You released no accessories for that. Why would that be?
To me, it's
But
just too small, and it was only in landscape. or I mean, only in portrait.
Yeah.
To me, I think the Nomad. I didn't see why they put the pogo pins on the Nomad,
I think it's
unless they were
DIY.
going for
DIY.
It looked
a
cool.
light. Unless they were
Mhm.
going for a light, something from top down that could, kind of settle that front light debate.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what the advantage would be. On the Manta, they're placed in the right place, to Vlad's point, for a keyboard. And I think that you could really see a keyboard folio in that. But yeah.
Especially since the back is flat. That lends well to the keyboard folio too, with that back edge being flat and not like concave, or without the slope. You know what I mean, to the back end of it. I think that lends well to the idea that there probably is going to be a keyboard case coming. Hopefully, anyway.
Do you guys think the A4X2 will be more akin to the Nomad or to the Manta?
Manta.
I think they'll go Mobius. To Boox's credit, to jump back just for a second, the what is it, the XC, the color, the new Tab XC, it being Mobius is a good sign that maybe more manufacturers are going to try and do that. And if you remember right, I think that was one of the things, once we found out that they were making those Mobius screens, and that's that size factor for the A5 size again, or kind of the 10.65 that the Nomad is. That's what triggered a lot of the thought that that's when they were going to pull the trigger. So I think that they're going to go and stay with that. I think it'll be more like the Manta, and I think it will have, and I don't even know, I mean, hopefully they'll give it a little bit more processing power, but again, I don't find my Manta sluggish. I don't think it needs the crazy horsepower that some of the Boox devices have, but maybe that's just because of how I use it, and I want them to do what's right for the device.
I think the horsepower, meaning specifically the processor and the RAM, is geared more toward the apps, not necessarily the native note taking.
Yeah. Do you guys think the A4X2 would use the same panel as the Note Max?
No.
No, that's the Carta.
Well, it's a different aspect ratio too, right? Isn't it? Isn't it more squarish?
Mm-hmm. It's different because they're staying with that rectangular form factor, which I like a lot.
Yeah, that wouldn't scale well with the software, right?
One thing I would like to see the A4X do is copy one thing from the Nomad, and that's being, I just lost the term.
Symmetrical.
Yep. Completely symmetrical, because
that's my problem too. Yeah.
Because the Manta, while it doesn't bother me at all having a smaller or a bigger bezel on the bottom, the Nomad to me was elegantly, perfectly designed to be symmetrical, regardless of whether you were right, left-handed, however you wanted to do anything. You can still do all of that with the Manta, but yeah, whether you want to go upside down with it, you never had to worry. If you accidentally grabbed it and it was upside down, it was all going to be the same. The Manta stepped back from that a little bit and added that larger bezel at the bottom. And
almost like this is the right way to hold it kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it doesn't bother me because I use it that way, but I thought that was just brilliant on the Nomad, that design language. And so if anything, I'd like to see the A4X kind of copy that part. And
Dude,
still
I want
have
to
the
see them
dual
copy the
sliders and all
whole
of that.
thing. If they made the A4X2 look like the Nomad, I'd be happy. I don't know why. I do like the design of the Nomad over the Manta. I do. I don't know why I do, but I do.
The
Yes.
basic design or the crystal design?
The basic white.
Yeah, see, and I don't. I love the fact that, I mean, Trey has now the crystal.
It's because
and
of that
I like
symmetrical.
that.
Even from the back, it's the symmetry is there. The back of the Manta, there's no symmetry. The front of the Manta, there's no symmetry. The front and back of the Nomad, there's total symmetry.
I can't help but reflect, Rod, that you have a microphone on one side and not the other as you're talking about symmetry.
He missed just wants me to remember the word. See, that's he keeps saying it.
I couldn't help myself.
So, can you pull this comment up, Ed? Chuckle chatter. I saw on Reddit earlier. There's the
This one?
Dasung. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So that I think just set the new like record for e-ink speed. It's 37 hertz, I think. But I think
What was it before, 30?
BigMe announced one a couple weeks ago that was like 30, I think, right?
Yeah, I was about to say 30.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the
I'm
outlier
gonna go
again,
back.
guys.
I'm going to go back to what I said about the phone, and I think that same thing applies to monitors.
Yeah.
I did not at that rate. I think my rate was more like 12, but I did a BigMe all-in-one. It was fine for what it is, but man, I can't do an ink screen over an LCD screen. And I get it. If you have eye issues, I totally get that. That changes the equation completely. But you're giving up stuff. I'm more sympathetic. I wouldn't do this because I don't like the clutter. But I'm more sympathetic to this idea of having an LCD screen and then maybe a reading screen on the side that you could read or code or whatever that you're doing with that makes sense to me. But not at the price points that we're talking about.
I think that's the killer, Jeff, is the price point, because
It's
I
gonna-
would
yeah.
100% agree with you that one of my ideal setups, if I was like in writing mode and wanted to work in a word processor, so just work in Word, black and white e-ink screen and a keyboard would be
Yep.
genius for me,
Mhm.
because it's super focused,
agree.
it's fast, the latency's there, it's easier to read. I would love it, but not at, $1,300, $1,400. Some of them I've seen close to $2,000, and I'm like, guys, come on now.
They're going to be a secondary monitor for most people. It's too much.
What do you
You're
think,
paying like
Vlad?
you're paying like a big premium for almost like a subpar experience,
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's why I keep going to if you need it. If you have health reasons, then it's that's the world, that's everything. And yes, I would pay for that. But without that, it's hard. It's hard to justify that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I
and
agree with
things
Ed
that
though. I would love it for like office stuff, spreadsheets, Word documents. I mean, this would eat. I would love to have this for that kind of thing. I mean, just because I look at it so much during the day, it's like to take that. I mean, I'm like you, Jeff. I'm not doing this for health reasons, but I mean, I'll enjoy some health benefits while they're there. You know what I mean? So I would love to be looking at that screen for something simple like spreadsheets instead of an LCD.
Well, and I'm gonna get just on a soapbox for here just a second, because Rod has raised this on his live stream, and I think it's really important. The reason it's so expensive is because it only targets people who need it, really. And Rod is wearing Meta glasses right now, and the Meta glasses, I think, Vlad, I think you've mentioned this too on your review about how people who have vision problems, who have hearing problems, who have, real challenges, they're almost priced out of true assistive technologies to help them do anything. So for me, if we could get this, if somehow this market could push that price down to where someone who needed it could benefit from it, that would be a better thing, because Meta is a much, lower bar to entry. They're still expensive. I mean, for someone who doesn't have a lot, but compared to some of the like technologies, same with AirPods that now allow you to be able to hear, and act as hearing aids and are licensed. That's a big one. Those types of things, I think the more we can build that into our technology daily, that it's not only useful but assistive, would be really cool. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jeff. It just triggered that when he was talking about, for me it would be an okay to have, but for someone this might be an actual need, and I hate to think that they're priced out of it just because nobody else wants it or needs it.
So actually, I wonder if that might be a good segue, because Vlad, you had mentioned in the build-up to this conversation that you had seen some other alternate technologies.
Yeah. So
that might be coming?
let's just talk really quickly about the two other e-ink phones, and then when we talk about the minimal, we'll transition into that because I think the minimal is not using an e-ink panel.
Right.
So the Medita Compact, have you guys seen that?
Mm-hmm. I
Oh,
saw
wait, is that the
Khaled's.
Yeah, it's like a 4.3 e-ink.
Oh, that. Okay.
I think I want to say they're out of like Poland or something.
Wait, what's the name of it? I'm sorry.
Medita Compact. It's with a K. Kompaakt.
Yeah, it was either him or Kit that I saw that on. I can't remember either Khaled or Kit.
Kit has one, and I think Khaled both of them. Yeah, but that I like the size of that device. I'm like kind of curious to try it out. Mostly also because I've never tried an e-ink cell phone, so I think it'd be interesting.
Oh, it's a cell phone.
Yeah. And they have a global version, and then they have a North American one they're working on soon. But it's still definitely in like the pre-release phase.
Nice. I've never heard of that thing before.
What do you all think of the light phone? I don't know if you guys saw, but MKBHD did the light phone because
I almost pre-ordered one.
I agree with him. I don't understand. I mean, it's not e-ink. So they went with an LCD panel and OLED, sorry. They went with an OLED panel and this is where I fall into the camp of I think it's nice to buy something that's purposeful, but there does come a certain level of personal responsibility for being able to turn off notifications on things like a phone.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing locks you in something fierce. I mean, you can't do anything.
Oh yeah. It's like so restrictive, right? And I think the main takeaway he had is like, it's an expensive device, right? Unless you pre-ordered it, it was originally $399 on pre-order. It's now, I think it's gonna be $800. So his point was like, basically, this is a phone that you're gonna have as well as another phone because it's so restrictive that there's so many things you can't do on it, right? Like you can't, if you misspell the location you're trying to get on the Maps app, it has no autocorrect there. So it's like you have to spell it perfect. It's like, it's just things like that are basic necessities that I feel like it's a big compromise on.
I just saw this Medita Compact. Oh, come on, you guys. What are you doing? What are we doing? This thing looks like a cell phone from it looks like what BlackBerry would do in 1998.
They were hot. They were hot.
Wouldn't that be more the minimal phone? That looks like
probably. Oh man, this thing looks crazy though. It doesn't look appealing at all. They didn't try to make it look like something you would want to use at all. I guess it's the thing. I guess.
Funny.
It won a design award. What? Holy cow! Okay, never mind. I clearly know nothing. We'll move on.
Funny aside, and I'm going to play this clip back to my friend Alan because he was like one of the last BlackBerry holdouts. Like they had to pry it out of his hand. And when the minimal came out, I immediately shared it with him and said, look, you have a phone again, because it looks so much like a BlackBerry. And, that tactile keyboard, which, quite frankly, I don't hate the tactile keyboard, but we've gotten so used to swipe and virtual keyboards now. I just don't see us going back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and open up my folds here.
Oh, wow. Whoa. Got the Pixel unfold, is that?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I love this thing. Sorry, I had to be a jerk and do that.
No, that's awesome, dude. I love Pixel phones, but I don't have the fold.
I had the Galaxy Fold and loved it.
And this might surprise you. I actually have a need. See, this is the thing. No matter what you're talking about, you always have to start off with what your need is. But here's my need and why I picked it out. I picked it out because of my work. So oftentimes I'm looking at my emails on my phone, and what I found was on a regular phone, even though I have a larger phone, I'd look at an email and I would get overwhelmed by it. And like, oh my God, what are they saying? Blah, blah. And then I would go to my computer and I would look at the same email and it would be like, oh, that's it? And it's because it cramped it in and it completely changed it's hard for me to explain this other than this. It completely changed the dynamic of me reading and interpreting an email. And so what I found is having a bigger screen, I can then more simulate what I see on the computer. And then I can say, oh, that's what they're talking about, and respond to it there in the moment. Or if I'm in an emergency situation and I need it as my communication vehicle, for other folks, I can see things in a bigger screen. So it's not just the novelty of it, although that's a factor. I'll give you that. But there was a legitimate use case of why I went with that phone. And I have to, if you're going to go with an e-ink or one of these alternate things, start with the use case. Start with the use case. And does that fit better than these other things?
Shout out! I can't let use case get said that many times without saying shout out to She Ink. Use case queen in the house. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
No, and Jeff, I'm 100%. I made a different decision for a similar reason. So, like, I had the Galaxy Fold and loved it. Found out most of the time, though, I was using it to play a game on because I had more screen real estate. But email, 100% agree with you. I hate writing an email response on my phone because if I do that, I think I need to cut paragraphs differently, and I end up going and seeing it on my screen later, and it looks awful. It looks like I couldn't put two sentences together because it's like all disjointed. So I went with a smaller phone and just said, you know what, unless it's an emergency, I'm not going to answer email on my phone. I'm going to use it only on a computer, and I'm usually close enough to one where I can do it. So very rarely do I use my phone to answer emails for that same reason you're talking about. It's a weird experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Did we want to mention this? Where was it at? Someone mentioned a device I hadn't seen before in the chat.
The minimal or no?
No, it was something else. I don't see it now. Sheesh.
Well,
Right,
Ed, you were saying the minimal, like, was that appealing at all to you? I know maybe it was your friend, but were you considering that at all or no? Because you said you pre-ordered and then canceled the high break.
Yeah, the minimal was a little bit interesting to me only because of the nostalgia factor of it. I mean, the whole idea of e-ink phones was interesting to me for a while, and that was just because I thought, okay, I'm already in the e-ink space, and you can load the Supernote app on any e-ink phone, and then you can look at it, and you're getting that same look, and you're still cutting down on that screen time. But I'm not. No, I think I've decided that the phone market for e-ink just isn't my space. It's not something that I'm interested in because my phone serves a specific purpose. So that's just my take on it. What about you, Vlad? I know you were talking about maybe getting one. Which one's, like, if you had to rank the e-ink ones, which one would be the one you'd buy first?
So I think I'd have a very specific use case if I were to get one of those. And what I would do is I would, during the workday, I would use the e-ink phone just so I don't get distracted at all. And then outside of work hours, I would want my normal phone because I can do anything on that.
That's actually not a bad way to looking at it.
Because I think part of the appeal of the e-ink phones is kind of like a dopamine detox where it's so easy to get sucked into, like, even on YouTube now, I just get sucked into reels sometimes, or shorts, sorry. I'm actively, like, trying to not do that. So I, like, have to be cognizant about it, but, like, it is easy to get into that. And on an e-ink phone, that's, like, not a possibility, right? So
yeah,
I think that's why I would want to use it.
That was my thought process too, Vlad, at first, was that, I tend to watch a video. I mean, to be honest, I'm working all the time. So, like, I never get to catch Rod's lives live. And most of the time I watch your guys' videos on my lunch. So I'll pop my phone up, and I don't want to use the work computer for that. So I'll just pop my phone up on my desk while I'm eating lunch, and I'll catch up on your guys' stuff. And that's great for me unless I need to see it on a big screen. On the weekends, I much prefer to watch it on my monitors here at the house. But I think I fall into that a little bit too. Of there are things I'd probably be more productive if I had something that would let me do Audible, let me do, things like that and listening to a book on tape when I was driving rather than, I'm not watching videos, but I'm accessing platforms and listening to them, because I want to hear this latest thing on YouTube or whatever it is. And I wouldn't do that, I don't think, on an Ink phone.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even try.
The limitations kind of get freeing, I guess. It could be the point here. One thing, did you guys want to talk about the tariffs at all? The device tariffs that are going on and how it's affecting the e-ink market? Or are we standing on that?
I've got no problem talking about them. I think
Okay.
I think it's crazy. I think, it's thrown the whole market into a tailspin. I mean, regardless of whether you agree with them or not, it's nobody knows what to do. The policy changes every other day. And I think that's the biggest issue. Is it on? Is it off? We don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to react to it. Ratta has sent out so many communications about it, just trying to figure out how they're going to price for it.
That's kind of what I was getting at there.
I think
So
even Remarkable
I think
too.
that's it. Yeah.
Remarkable had on their website too. They were going to increase prices.
Yeah, I think it's I didn't care about any of it until I heard that Ratta was pausing all sales and shipments to the U.S. for like almost a week. That when I heard that, that's when it hit me, and I'm like, whoa, okay, so people can't order stuff, like, and not even at a increased price. And I understand why they did it, to kind of protect the customers from fluctuations that may happen in the interim. But I do it. But you know what? Throughout all this tariff stuff, I applaud Ratta. I think they've handled probably the best out of everyone. I mean, of course they've had to raise prices, but they've been super transparent about it, and they've also absorbed some of that price increases for the customers. They were transparent about saying how much a percentage is getting pushed to the customer and how much a percentage is getting absorbed by the company. So, I really applaud how they're doing it. It just kind of sucks the timing right now, I guess.
Yeah, listen, businesses hate unpredictability. And I have a lot of compassion for all these companies trying to figure out how they're going to navigate this. And the reality is nobody knows how. So I'm pretty I'm with you guys. I don't know what this to say. Like, what do you do? And I don't know. Listen, I don't know this because there's very few people that manufacture e-ink devices that are publicly traded. So e-ink is publicly traded. Amazon is publicly traded. I don't know if Kobo is or not, or Rakuten or whatever, but most aren't. So I don't know what their margins are. But if I were to guess, I'd bet they're not that fat, And so in that environment, if the tariffs go the wrong way and the wrong amount, it could be pretty devastating to you as a company.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all in the same boat, and we're all just trying to.
I just felt like we'd be remiss not to even speak on the tariff thing that's looming so large over the industry right now.
Yeah, I mean, I totally, I 100% agree with that. I put together a grid. I've got this, I'm looking at right now. I've got a spreadsheet of 44 current devices that you can buy in the marketplace. I've got price in another column, and I can't do anything with this spreadsheet because the minute I do a video on the prices, a month later, it's going to be something else. And that was never true. If I had done this a year ago, I could have totally done this and everything would have been stable. Maybe a sale here or there, but it's a crazy environment. I just don't know. We're all just kind of living it.
Yeah, and it's weird too because it's summertime is coming. People are looking forward to, I guess, the fall at this point too. So I don't know. It feels like that's a big time for people buying electronics. It's the fall. So I think that it's just one of those things where it's unfortunate to be happening right now when so many people are thinking about purchases, especially along the lines of e-ink devices for students going back to school. It's just it just sucks. I wanted to give people some advice, but there's like you said, Jeff, there's none to give. It's just we're all kind of like canaries in the coal mine on this particular thing right here, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think just do your research the best you can and try and figure out the best thing that you can.
Yep.
I mean, Supernote was real transparent about the fact that they've got some stuff in the US that's open box and that they'll try and resell and, and then once the pricing structure does come out, figure out if you can do it. I mean, it's going to be rough and it's going to hit people hard. And again, if someone needs a device like this, again, a lot of it comes down to, do you really need it, or is I'd like to have kind of thing.
Well, and to that point, I think this is where I'm not a huge Remarkable fan. I mean, I appreciate what they're doing and all that. I don't hate them, but I'm not like, that's not my top devices, right? But I think the Remarkable 2 still is a nice lesson. The device that could be a few years old. In fact, I think it goes back to 2020.
It's 5 years old at this point. Yeah. No, you're right.
They're still selling it.
Yeah.
People are still buying it. So it's not like it's.
And you know what's so funny? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good. You're good.
I was going to say what's so funny about that. You bring that up. It's 5 years old now. The screen was 5 years old when they started, or over 5 years old when they started using it. So that thing has 10-year-old tech in it.
It's still good. You can still write notes on that device.
Exactly. I got it right now. Writing notes on. So I mean.
Yeah, you're right, Rod. Because it's Carta 1000, right? I think
1000. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually I put out a video a couple of weeks ago. It was like, is the Remarkable 2 still good in 2025? Because I think it is. It's
absolutely.
It's very basic, but
that's why they're not replacing it.
For someone that just wants to get into e-ink note taking, I still think it's a viable option.
And I still say the A5 or A5X, you could do the same thing. You can find some really good aftermarket tablets.
Yeah.
Refurbish. That's my ultimate point. It's not. Don't forget Remarkable. What I'm saying is the tech doesn't. It's still useful. You don't need to get the latest thing. We kind of dwell on that and enjoy it. But
thank you. Thank you for saying that.
You can have a device for years and be good with it.
Yep.
So
I guess to wrap this up on the tariff things. Things are crazy right now. We don't know what's going to happen, but we are confident about the fact that some of these older devices we're using, you can get for a really good price right now. So if you're in the market and you need an ink device, look at the secondhand market domestically. Save yourself some money and some headaches because, like we just pointed out, a lot of these devices are really still good in 2025.
Absolutely.
All right, now Jeff, to answer your question. So back to the minimal phone, that is a company, I think it's called OED. That is alternative. It's kind of funny because I think we had talked about e-ink alternatives another time, and like our consensus was basically that like no one would ever catch up to e-ink. And I still think that may be true, but there are more alternatives than I thought, and I've been looking into them recently. So OED, should I share my screen maybe? Hold on.
That would be nice.
Let's see.
See some of these other players in the game. Do they still have exclusive rights to the tech?
That is a good question. I don't know. I do plan on making a video on this, so I'll do more research. But this is kind of some of the preliminary stuff here.
By the way, look at that smooth screen transition. I can't say the words, but it was like so smooth.
Can you guys see that? Can you guys see that?
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah. So OED, this was 5 months ago, but they create the screen in the minimal phone. And from what I don't have a minimal phone, so I can't comment too much on it. But from what I've seen, I think from like Kit and some other people, was that it doesn't appear as sharp as its counterpart e-ink screens. So it does appear kind of fluid. I saw something on Reddit where someone was like showing it scrolling versus another kind of company. But they do have, yeah, the response time's 17 milliseconds, so pretty quick refresh rate, which is
Well,
twice
you gotta
as
know
speedy
someone's
as the
gonna
industry
come
current
along.
standard. You know, sorry. So yeah, I mean, definitely interesting. I do want to look into this company a little more. But then I think I commented on a minimal video and someone replied and mentioned some other alternatives. So I just pulled those up real quick. This one, Y Invisible, is kind of an e-ink manufacturer. Looks like it's based in Portugal, but low power e-paper displays. I'm not 100% sure if this is like electrophoretic, but I think it is.
We're still only seeing the LED window.
Oh, sorry. I think
Vlad.
I shared the tab. My bad. I think I just shared a tab. Let me go back to that.
But I hope there's more entrance into the market while you're pulling that up. I really do. I mean, I think E-Ink needs some competition. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think their
absolutely.
devices work very well, but part of the price differential we're running into is the fact that they're the only one in the game.
And availability. Like I mean, if I truly believe that them having the monopoly on the market and as it is right now keeps people from getting displays who would otherwise have them, like just to buy. You know what I mean? Because they can gatekeep almost and say, well, no, we're not sending you that display, or if you want to order something, you can buy this. So it's less about having the money to buy something, and you have to have the money and the credentials with them to buy certain things, which is why Amazon gets screens that no other company gets their hands on until years later. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that wouldn't be the case if there were other players in the game. You know, they wouldn't play that game.
So can you guys see now?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. So this is the Y Invisible I was telling you about. Yeah, like I said, I'm not 100% sure if it's electrophoretic, but I think it is. It's electrochromic e-paper, I guess. So,
Yeah. Just a little side gripe rant. I'm so tired of e-paper as a word. You know, because everybody's saying, "Oh, it's e-paper." No, it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, say
Let's-
electrophoretic, then we know what that means.
Right.
And then
But-
this is another one, Zkong. I guess they do more like signage stuff, but it does seem to be like e-ink type screens.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what they would have to start is with, you know,
And then
signage
the
and
last
industries
one
deal with that.
was this pervasive displays. Like I said, I haven't done much research into these, but I'm going to kind of look into them. But so yeah, I think there are some other options. I don't know if they'll ever, you know, fully be
Why
like a-
pervasive?
yeah, exactly. Right? So I'm
We
gonna
know
stop
why.
sharing it.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, see, smooth. I got it down, guys. This Dream Deck
Damn,
Plus
Ed's
has
like-
made my life a lot
Ed's like
easier.
high-fiving himself over there.
Oh man, you don't understand. You remember the first stream?
I
We
do.
had all kinds of stuff, man. And now it's like I can press a button and move us around. You know.
Mr. Ed Scorsese over here.
No. According to you, Scorsese might as well give it up.
He
If you all
should.
haven't seen
Scorsese
Rod's
should.
lives at all, once you get over 26, you've peaked. Your life is
Hey,
over. So
all right,
I'm
can-
about
can
to
you-
double that.
Can you guys attest to this? Like, I don't want to sound ageist because I'm not. I'm old. I'm old myself, so I can't be ageist. But there is a fact in the scientific community that once you reach age 27, you're done. Like there are no more major. Honestly,
believe
there are
that.
no more major discoveries for anyone after the age of 27 in science. Einstein, like you go back, all his biggest discoveries before 27. Now, this is just something in the scientific community. I'm not saying this is everybody. Like, you know, if you're a singer, clearly, you can sing until you're 90 or 100 years old. Who cares? But in scientific research, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Well,
27.
I mean, Rod, you didn't start your channel before you were 27, so
Yeah,
No.
it's
I'm
over.
not. I'm not in scientific research though. I'm not in scientific research. I'm just. I'm
see,
just a
I
dude.
think-
But
I'm
I'm just
talking
saying,
head.
I'm saying like accomplishments, right? I'm not saying
Yeah.
specifically
Yeah.
like knowledge-based stuff, but
Yeah. I'm just talking in the scientific discoveries field. That's
Yeah.
just that field.
I don't want to derail us, but I thought it was funny. All I would say to that is that once they get older, they have lab assistants and grad assistants. So really, who is then
No doubt.
driving the train?
Absolutely.
So I think that's
Absolutely. Yeah.
that would be my counter. But it was just
Yeah.
fun ribbing. So, oh wait, thanks, Jay. The production values are high.
Word.
In
Absolutely.
capital letters.
I don't know about that, but they're better than they were. That's about as good as I can get.
They're infinitely better. You know, my take remains. So I think when we had this conversation before talking about alternatives, the predominant alternative to e-ink has been reflective LCD, and that has its fans, but I don't think is delivered. It's possible that one of these alternates will be better. There's no reason. E-ink didn't exist before the 90s, and commercially even later, and now it's here. There's no reason why it couldn't disappear tomorrow, but I'll believe it when I see it. That's my take.
Yeah. So I don't know where we're at on our agenda, Jeff.
No agenda. It's a free-flowing discussion.
I know, but we had several things that we wanted to hit, and we've hit a lot of them.
I
But
just
Tell
saw
you what I
one.
wanna
Did you guys see it's not an actual product you can buy yet, but the Readmoo foldable gallery device?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
Yes. Well, it's still e-ink, so all the previous conversation applies.
And then it's
But
foldable.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see how they handle the fold. I'm
And
curious. I'm not
gallery,
curious
too.
to buy it, but I'm
And-
curious to see
yeah.
what other people review it.
And how they handle
Yeah.
gallery too.
Yeah, right.
I don't think it's
saw
gonna be
it.
good.
What'd you say?
Possibly.
Rod?
I don't think it's gonna be
Possibly
good.
true.
I saw it, of course, on my Nemesis good e-reader. Did a small unboxing of it. So, and I still watch their stuff because they have things that you don't see.
They're an
anywhere
authority.
else.
Yeah, they're an authority on
Well,
topic.
I
good
wouldn't
news
go
source.
with authority. I'd say they have things other people don't have.
No
But
doubt.
but it was an interesting little device. I will give it that. I mean, the fact that the screen wrapped around the side and appeared to be usable, so that you could maybe use that sidebar was kind of neat. So, but again, is it going to make it to mainstream? Is it going to be at this standard? I have no idea yet. But it was interesting to me because I thought I've been waiting for a foldable device in the e-ink space, not because I really want one, but just because I love innovation and I like to see cool new stuff. And I wanted to see what
Yes.
they would do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious about. But we gotta cut the crap and put the focus on Vlad. I do want to talk about Spectra 6.
Yep.
Sir, your videos have changed my buying patterns around this. So originally I was going to buy the large version of the
Ink poster.
ink poster, and then I've now gone down to 13-inch because of the blooming 8, I believe is the phrase. Like that one actually is the most exciting one to me, but you've been the one covering this the most. So what's your thoughts right now on the
I think there does their Kickstarter end today? I
It
think.
did.
Let me
It
see.
ended.
It ended. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got funded. So did you end up backing one, or did you get
Yeah,
the
I did.
Sharp
I backed-
Exo?
Backed up the 13-inch one for both the ink poster and for I'll buy the ink poster when it's available. I backed the blooming 8.
Sure. Okay. So I guess here's this is like an engineering sample, so it's not really like a final version, but maybe I can.
Do you want me to put you big again?
Let me just see if my top down's working. Hold on, let me pop that on, and then if it does, you can change it. So source, let's go to this one.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, it's not going to be the best quality because of this camera, but you can see it a little bit. So yeah, like I told you, this is, it doesn't have the SD card, Jeff. It's like got a little breakout board. It's very much like, an engineering sample. But the panel is the same as it should be, and I actually asked the guy from, let me check, because if you guys aren't aware, for anyone watching, like there's a lot of different algorithms you can use for dithering, which is basically the way that different colors and kind of contours are created on Spectra. I will put out another video where I'll try to like show more like close up of it, because at this distance it doesn't really come across as well, but when you get closer you can start to see.
Dude, that's
other things on
amazing.
it.
I'm just gonna
It
say.
is. It does look good.
Yeah, it does. It does. So, yeah. Anyways,
Dang,
I
man, now I want one.
confirmed. I confirmed with.
I didn't even care before this moment.
So I confirmed with the Bluminate team. I was asking what their algorithm was, and I think he embedded a lot of them. So depending on which filter you use, it'll use different dithering algorithms.
Dude, I want
which
that
is,
now.
Which is interesting because like
That would be awesome.
the reflection frame, I think they're just using one algorithm. Not 100% sure because they didn't want to share the algorithm they were using. So I believe it's. I mean, it looks great, but like,
Dude, even over the net, it looks amazing. So I could just imagine what it looks like in person.
Well, and
Yeah,
this will show you how cool Vlad is, guys. So when he was doing this, he was sending out posts, and he said, "What do y'all want to see?" And of course, this is me showing my age. I said, "How about the Star Wars movie poster?" And he said, "Which one?" Okay, there's only one. No, I mean the OG, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find a high quality image, and he said he sends me a message and says, "Found it," and it pops up, and it was like, "Oh man."
That's what's
It
up.
looked really, really cool.
So I did this on the live I did the other day, but I just threw my email in the chat. If anyone wants to send an image, I'll pop it up on here, or you guys too, if you want to see anything. But yeah. So basically, my takeaway so far is art stuff like this looks really, really good on it. Photos, it definitely takes more like fine tuning on photos, and it will still get that kind of film grain look a little bit. But when you look at it at a further distance, it is pretty convincing. It convincing in the sense that it like almost looks like a actual print or a piece of art.
I think the beauty of that for me would be there you go, exactly that. You could change it on the fly and it looks really good.
Yeah, and then this one, so I think the Bluminate, you'll be able to change the frame. They match with IKEA Rodalm, so you can go to IKEA and buy a frame and like use it. This one has a custom mat, so you can actually just remove the mat and like change that out if you want. And this is the NFC chip. So basically if I tap it here, it will connect via NFC and then it'll send it over Bluetooth Low Energy.
So question,
right
do you think the size of the frame has to do with the electronics in it, or do you think it's for an artistic decision?
It's artistic. And
okay.
So you can see here, Rod. Well, I don't know if you can see on this. It's a little blown out. But this is like a foam insert right here. And then this is the actual panel. So I think right here to here is like the part of the panel, and then the screen starts.
Gotcha. So yeah, they did that for framing purposes.
Yeah, just to make it look a little more artistic. But I have seen people comment, they're like, I would love one just like that size that doesn't actually look like it doesn't have the pass part out and stuff. So I think there's space for someone to make something like that,
Yeah.
Because if you look at all of them, they all kind of have this design now,
I was just gonna say, this could change the game for like art galleries and stuff, guys. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
seriously, you know, not having to have the original piece on display all of the time
Mhm.
and being able to, with curation and stuff, it would be amazing to, because the level of detail I've seen you get out of some of these, Vlad, is just really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said,
so
even over that was good.
And I'll put another video out tomorrow where you can see it a little better, because in my live streams it was only 1080p, but the one tomorrow should be 4K, so you can see
good.
that a little better.
The-
But to your point though, I have a friend that has an art gallery. I would love to like put one of these in his art gallery for a week and see if anyone notices if it's not actually like a piece of art, you know?
That would be really a good experiment.
Yeah, I want to emphasize too for viewers that may not know what this is a huge for me. This is a huge
Oh, yeah.
deal because in the past when you were talking about, for example, having LCD screen, it's pretty cool. We
Oh, yeah, I
have
like
LCD
that.
screens, right? You could put your art proximal to an outlet. But now that we're talking about e-ink that you can charge up and store for a long period of time without it being plugged in, now you've got a lot more options to hang these things because you don't have to connect it to an outlet except for when you're charging it. That's huge. Now, let me ask you, Vlad, one of the things I did notice in some of your videos, which have been great.
Do you guys want to see it?
Yeah,
You guys wanna see
Jay
it in
was
action?
asking in the chat if you could print something.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so one of the things I've noticed, and maybe this is a good example here, is on your phone, which obviously is going to have an LCD type or maybe OLED or whatever type of a screen. Everything's very vibrant. And I have noticed that some colors look very different on the phone versus what gets produced. When you look at the picture itself, are you aware of that, or is it only by putting them side by side that you can tell?
So sorry, Jeff, could you repeat that really quickly? I was
Good
focusing
question,
on this.
Jeff.
Were
Yeah,
you
that's
saying
a good
compared to an actual print, like does it look convincing?
Or what you see on the phone. So you see the full spectrum, very bright, vibrant colors on the phone, and not all those colors get reproduced.
Right.
So do you notice that though when you're just looking at the e-ink screen in isolation?
So here you can see.
Yeah, that's a great example. So you can see how bright and vibrant that phone is.
Yeah,
But
it's
if you
vivid. But
yeah,
I think for something like this where it's like it's supposed to be art, so I don't think that vividness like this almost
good
is
point.
like this is almost
Good
like
point.
oversaturated. Like we all know what Starry Night looks
Yeah.
like, right?
Mhm.
But this is like almost like oversaturated, you know. So I
Good
think
point.
it's,
And I think that the colors would be muted in a painting too, like that.
Yeah.
So so I mean, and this comes back to the physical nature of ink, because you forget that we're looking at physical pigment being moved into place.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we've been dealing with LCD so long, you forget. And this is as close to that digitally painting as we're gonna get. You know what I mean? For a long time at least. And this is awesome. I love this.
So
yeah, me
this
too.
one I can show you the
Damn you
actual
guys!
print.
I wasn't even planning on buying nothing new.
So I can show you the. Here you'll see it, Jeff. You'll see it a little bit here, but is it sending? Yeah. So it's gonna send now.
I've
It'll
seen
start.
this example. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this one is like, it doesn't accurately really get it like super well, but the colors are good. So you'll see when it's done in a second. Like it looks pretty good, but it doesn't get that neon pop that this gets.
I see.
You know?
Yeah.
The yellows are really good, but those are the only ones that are like really like popping. Like the greens, you see the greens and the pink.
Yeah.
The pinks aren't too well. I mean, from here they're not too bad.
Yeah, the
but
pinks
I
don't
think
seem
it's
too bad.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different, but
And-
not
and-
as bad as the greens and the blues.
And like honestly,
Yeah.
this isn't a great camera that I have right here, so it's probably not doing it justice. But like I said, I'll show some more stuff tomorrow so you can see.
That's a very
But-
good example right there. I like that.
Yeah. So
Now I have to ask Vlad. So here's my vision. Here's what I'm hoping for. I think that it would be great to have something hanging on the wall where every day there's a new image there. You wake up and it's a new image, and so the Blooming 8 seemed to be the closest to that from what I can see from their software. What's your impressions?
yeah, so I think their stretch goal, maybe it was like the million stretch goal, was that it was like to have like a scheduled automation Reflection Frame is also going to add that, and Ink Poster is also going to add that. But from my understanding, none of them are going to have it like maybe out of the gate. The Bloomin' 8 might, because that probably won't come out for another month or two because it just finished the Kickstarter. So they might have some time to like develop the app. I think the Reflection Frame is coming out soon, and then the Ink Poster. I mean, what is it? It's 4/27 today. They were supposed to come out in April, but I haven't heard anything. So
yeah.
Maybe a little delayed, but I think May is going to kind of be when they're really starting to hit the market, you know?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant technology. To me, that's what would make, we're decades away, I would think, from that kind of an experience on a tablet type thing, because it's just those types of colors. If I wanted to sit down, and I'm not a huge comic book reader, but if I was that, or graphic novel reader, that's what I would want. Is that level of detail and that level of just awesomeness. But I can see it being really useful around the house. I mean, if the price came down, just being able to have access to digital art and change it up and, you know, have that be kind of what the Samsung frame is, but much better, you know, because again, you just hang it and it's there.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I think the one biggest takeaway I've had the past week with this is that you want to put it in a place that has good lighting generally, because it does, like, you know, e-ink is kind of reflective. So Jeff, like when you get yours, you should already like start to think like which room you want to put it in. That's like a better illuminated room from the sun or something, you know?
Man, look around this place.
So like here, I'll turn the light on now. So I just have like natural lighting over here, and now I turned on a light next to it, and you can see it pops a little more, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it looks good.
Oh yeah.
So now I'll turn it off, and you can see again. This is off. So it's still. I mean, I'm getting good natural lighting up from outside right now, but like it gets more vibrant the more lighting you have on it.
Good deal.
Yeah,
so
that's really
Jeff,
cool.
you did the 13.3.
Yeah, on both.
On both, okay.
Just you know why I think eventually I'm gonna want to go with what's the largest is 28. I can't remember.
I mean, technically the largest is the Ink Poster 31.5, but I think that's it might be a 16:9 ratio. So it's more poster style.
Yeah.
But the 28.5 is the bigger, like, better DPI, you know. And it has the sharp IGZO technology.
Right. Yeah, I'm going with the smaller ones until I know which one is the one that.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of promise here. I want to see how well they deliver, and then I'll probably go with the larger size, whoever that is. I'm hoping it's Blooming 8 just because of the price points involved.
And
really
the 13.3 has good DPI. It's 150.
As opposed to.
Just to give you an example, this is off the top of my head, so it might not be exact, but I think like the poster style from Ink Poster, the 31.5, I want to say it's like 91, 107, or it's like in the low 100s or like around there. And then the 7.3 from Bloomin' 8 is actually lower. It's like 120 something. And DPI does kind of play into Spectra 6 because the way the dithering works, like the better the DPI, the better it'll essentially look, you know? And the more detail you can get in there.
I'm glad you said DPI.
Oh, Rod.
Thanks, Jeff. I didn't want to say it.
But yeah, I look forward to hearing your thoughts when you get it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be reviewing it, but in the meantime, I'm glued on your channel, man. You're my Spectra source.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to look into that I've started already researching is like just the dithering algorithms, and then that's like something I want to test. It's just like how the same image can look different on different algorithms, you know?
Yeah.
But,
well, let me ask you this question. So we've talked about three main companies, right? Am I getting that right? So you've got Ink Poster, you've got Blooming 8, and you've got Reflection. Of those, which one are you right now? I know there's a lot more to come, but as of right now, which one are you most excited about?
I mean, currently this one right here feels like a finished product. The reflection frame, like it's got like branding, it feels like an actual like finished product. The blooming it is like a kind of engineering sample, so I can get a good sense of the screen, but it doesn't have the SD card reader, it doesn't have stuff like that, but I think I'm most excited for the Sharp IGZO 28.5 for sure. I wanna see how that IGZO tech, because I think it's like the TFT backplane in there. But I want to see how that improves like vibrancy and contrast and stuff, because that's apparently what it's supposed to do. And it's supposed to be a little faster. I think it's supposed to be faster for refresh.
Yeah.
But
and Ink Poster and Blooming 8 both utilize that in some of their panels, right?
correct. Yeah. Those are the only two that are using the 28.5 Sharp IGZO. And the Blooming 8 is significantly less expensive than the Ink Poster.
So what's different about
Pocketbook Ink Poster is a reputable brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the other ones are kind of like startups, like.
What's the difference in the TFT for this new Exos?
So Sharp announced this with E-Ink in collaboration like maybe a year ago. But it was on, I think it was on E-Ink's website. Let me pull it up.
Are we talking different materials?
Here, I'll share my screen real quick. Screen share.
I'm just trying to see if this is the same realm of the stuff I've been like researching lately.
Can you guys see?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you.
Oh, it is what I've been researching. IGZO. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's indium gallium zinc oxide, I think.
Yep.
But
so it's the new material that they're
backplane.
using.
It's the backplane, yeah. And so it specifically this one, I've seen IGZO in other stuff from, I think like Sharp TVs in the back of the day maybe had it, but this one is specifically with Spectra 6, and they don't. But
they're all using that now. That's the standard for all the E-Ink backplanes now. That I know of that's coming out. I know the new Note Air 4C used that IGZO technology in its backplane.
Okay.
And
okay.
the
so
Amazon.
Do you know if it's Sharp's IGZO or is it specific?
No. We're just talking. You know what? I'm saying no, but it could be Sharp. I'm not sure in what collaboration, what company they came out with it in.
Because this article I think is specifically with Spectra 6. But I mean I don't doubt that it could be a different form of like an IGZO technology that they're using.
Yeah.
But apparently it's. I think I have to find like some old Reddit posts I found where like someone went into way more detail about it. But it's supposed to look a little bit better and be a little faster. So.
The refresh rate is faster and lower power consumption as well with the IGZO.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So I'll stop sharing. So I did see the Sharp IGZO one at CES, and it looked really good.
Yeah, I think this is the most exciting stuff happening with E-Ink right now, to be honest with you. I feel like if you look at Kaleido 3 and Gallery 3, those were introduced a few years ago. We're seeing refinements of that, which is great. And obviously we're seeing Carta 1300, but these are all very incremental. This is like just a brand new technology, a new space. I'm really excited about it. I think this is going to be the year of Spectra 6.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's kind of
hot take. You heard it here first.
It's been used in like digital signage for a bit. But now it's like actually going to be more like commercially available,
I'm actually we're coming up probably within the next month on the annual statement for E-Ink, and I'm really curious to see how much they talk about this and maybe emphasize this versus their thing. So I'm super curious to see what their take is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So what did you guys have a ending topic, or can I slide something in?
Well, we hadn't gotten to Jeff's E-Ink Awards yet, though.
Okay, yeah, good. I'm glad we're not there yet.
I gotta watch
that. I can slide something in.
Okay.
this will kind of play right into that though. So I like to ask the question every time we get together. Where do we think the e-ink market is going for the rest of this year? I guess we can say.
I think this ties into the topic on if you were the CEO too, a little bit, Jeff.
A little bit.
You know?
Yeah, I was going to go a slightly different direction on that.
Okay.
But to Rod's question, I'm not great at predicting this, so I'll caveat this right now. But I just can't help but think that we're looking at kind of an incremental update type of a year. I'm definitely. I think there's like a 40% chance I could be wrong and surprised, but 60% feels like, like we'll have a Note Air 4C that's just going to be a little, a couple fractions faster or better than the 5C, better than the 4, and stuff like that. I don't see anything major coming down. I mean, maybe you'll get, like we talked about earlier, maybe a remarkable mini, which, I don't know. I just don't right now. It looks like everything's very incremental right now.
I would agree with that. I think the only possible is if they do push out the A4X3 or X2, whatever it is. But I don't know. I think they're going to wait until the time's right, and I think they're going to be real quiet about it. Other than that, I think Boox is going to keep being Boox, and they're going to keep putting out, different things here and there. But then again, they surprised me with the Note Max. I mean,
true.
And we knew the Tab XC was coming, but we didn't know when. And I think, it, but yeah, I don't see a lot of, and I think it's uncertainty as well. I mean, back to that tariff conversation, I think part of it is they've got things that are selling, they've got people invested in ecosystems, and to be honest, on Boox's side is they really need to refine their UI. So they'd be smart to take a pause and maybe spend more time on their software, and trying to refine that experience more, which I think they've made strides in. From what I've seen with the good pieces of 4.0, and then all of the heartbreak that I've seen people express about it as well. Mm-hmm. But at least they're trying. They're trying to figure out a way to unify their experience. But I don't know about a remarkable mini. The mini devices make a lot of sense for a lot of people, just not for me.
What about you, Vlad?
Sorry, I was just catching up on the comment section here.
Oh.
I was reading Jay's talking about pixels versus dots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of use them interchangeably, I feel like. What about you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do too.
I definitely. I'm super formal. I'm super formal. Like, I care.
Yeah.
But yeah. I feel like the industry is just like Ed said. I think it's going to a point to where it's just incremental stuff from this point on. I think at least that's the hope. I hope they take some time and just refine a little bit.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Seems like it'll be an incremental year for sure. I think. Mm-hmm. Like I think we can probably expect a device from Remarkable, maybe, definitely, maybe the A4X2. Then Boox will have a fall release. Maybe Kindle will do something new in the fall too, like a Kindle Scribe 2, not like just like a refresh, But we'll see.
Yeah,
there's a little debate going. No, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, Ed, to your point, like I think if there is something dramatic, it could happen on the software end. And a great example is you say like Boox, they could streamline. If they could take their reader and make it a little bit less of a hot mess and I get people get used to it, and then once you're used to it, it's fine. I understand that, but Boox can really help themselves out by appealing to a larger audience. And there might be opportunities to do it with a software refresh this fall.
Yeah, and Aaron mentioned it's not as bad, but then Jay here said that he wants to point out the reason a lot of people understand Boox's UI is better because there's so much content on the UI. I mean, watching Aaron use it over 2530 Media, watching Voya was almost torturous in how he was having to set up the e-ink center and all of these other things to make it work the way we expect some devices just to work outside of out of the gate. But then you see somebody like Aaron, who's almost a ninja in this stuff when it comes to the Boox platform, and he can show you, oh yeah, it's not that bad. Well, for the new person coming in, it seems to be a larger learning curve, and I think
Aaron's
Boox could
freakish
really
on
do
his device.
well.
My bad.
His is
Ed. I didn't
really
mean-
fast. No, you're right. I've watched the video. It's crazy.
Yeah, his device is fast as crap. Like I literally thought he sped the video up until I watched his hand go over and hit the button. And I'm like, okay, he didn't speed the video up. So how the heck? Yeah, his device is just a freak. I've never seen anything as fast as his. So that's not for nothing.
Voya with the bunny was one of my favorite things, by the way, guys. If you haven't seen that, when he bleeps the bunny saying the UI is crap. And of course, he didn't say that, and he says, "Yes, it is. Yes, it is, buddy." It was like classic Voy.
So
Hey, listen.
kind of riffing a little bit and going in a different direction. So if this is gonna be kind of a quiet year, if you were to start a business and you're looking for an opportunity no one else is mining as it relates to using e-ink, what would that be? And I'll get the ball rolling on this. I would focus on like e-ink clocks. And I know that that's playing at the low end, and and so there's a tough, it's a tough thing to make a margin in that. But to have a clock that you don't need to charge that often, that's visible, easily, especially in light during the day, I think that would be. I'd like to see e-ink expand the signage into the home in various use cases, and I think there's an opportunity there.
So, Jeff, to your point, the company we were talking about earlier, Mudita, they are releasing a e-ink clock, I think. Maybe I can pull
There you go.
Yeah, I'm torn on this because as some of you may know, and I'm going to see if I can make my screen share. So I got to move my mic for this. Oh wait,
Oh, yeah.
Vlad's got one first.
This-
So let me get over there.
This guy. This one is a normal clock, and then I think this one's e-ink. So it's not like a traditional clock like you're talking about like that, but
Yeah.
it is e-ink kind of little.
I would
Really?
almost
Perfect,
prefer
yeah.
the traditional
also-
one to be ink.
But also like 200 is pretty steep for a little clock.
That is the problem. Yeah,
Mhm.
and these are alarm clocks. So these are not large.
Yeah,
Wall
exactly.
clocks.
They're small. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
small. All right, go ahead.
Yes, yeah. So let me see if this pops up. So you all know I got the terminal, and I've been
Yeah.
talking back and forth with their team, and this is a device, quite frankly, I've grown to love. Absolutely love this thing. I mean, it's not super cheap. It's I think around $150, $160. But we had a conversation about the clock, because what you don't see right now, it's on a different mode, but it goes to a clock every so often. It's never right. And the biggest thing about the clock that they talk about is that it has to be dynamic and it has to refresh all the time to keep time, and that some of those battery savings might be the issue. So I just wanted to point that out, that may be a reason, but I think like static calendars, just to riff on yours, Jeff, a little bit, like static calendars, display type things in the home, that would be a really cool market to hit. The time part has me concerned on whether they could keep it refreshed. I don't know, and I'm not an engineer, so for me, that's just not something that when I mentioned it, they said, "Oh, well, we'd have to dynamically refresh that all the time." But
So Ed, how often is that terminal like polling and pulling data?
you can set it. So, I mean, like my screen refreshes every 32 minutes. You can go all the way down to every 5 minutes. Depending on the app, you can have it pull data down as low as 1 minute. So every 1 minute. I think the clock
That's
app
how the
is
clock
5.
should be.
But the problem is that the clock, it's like it would have to pull right before it refreshed to be accurate, and would only be accurate until it changed again, if that makes sense. So it's
Yeah, I
like
got you.
45 minutes sometimes behind because of the way it's set up. And again, I wonder if that's why a lot of the true e-ink watches, and you and I, Vlad, have talked about the fossil watches that used to have the e-ink panel still had mechanical time.
Yeah.
They use the e-ink for everything surrounding that. And of course, the Pebble isn't really e-ink.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those weird. Sorry, Jeff, I didn't mean to go on a tangent there, because I think that part of when it comes to home uses is like really poignant of, something that you can use as a clock, something you could use to have like the terminal, only larger, that you could put up and it would be a display for the family to walk by and see. That this thing will last for 8 months, depending on how often you want it to display, almost a year in some cases.
Yeah. I mean, I think the terminal is like a pretty cool use of e-ink, right? Because it's not something you need to be worried about charging all the time, and it's just there, and you can just kind of see your schedule or whatnot, and
yeah, it's
cool.
pretty, and it's open source.
Do you keep it on your desk?
I do, yeah. It sits right here on my desk. I thought about taking it to work. You can get two and link them, so I could technically have one at work that had things while I was at work, and you can do playlists. The app on a phone, do not.
Yes.
On the computer, it's great. It works fine on a computer, but do not try it on a phone. It is not responsive. And it's not an app; it's a website. But it works really well. So, well, you do, but they're hard to find. That's the issue with the responsive design. But no, Jeff, I would say, kind of piggybacking off yours, that I think the home use case is really, if I was somebody starting up, I would start looking at what would help a family, what would help people at home, what would help people remember things and, keep themselves, because all the things we see are so expensive. I mean, there's these big, huge digital calendars that you can put that link to your Google Calendar and all these other things. But, they're just huge LCD screens that cost a lot of money that you then put up, and then they're basically just like having a huge tablet. Whereas on my terminal, I can still pull in my Google Calendar, I can pull in my Outlook calendar, we could have a shared family calendar, I can pull in, all kinds of different things, Reddit posts, anything you want, you can kind of pull into these little things, and then you choose what you want your refresh rate to be on. Do you want something on different during the day while the kids are at school? And then when you come home at night, do you want to see a different set of things and pretty cool stuff? Do you want to see black and white photographs? There's just, to me, that market. And then if they could find a way then to make it work with a platform, like whether it be Boox or whoever, or Supernote or any of them, so that you could have kind of an experience of these things can work together. Maybe you pop up notes or something like that are important, that you want to see. Maybe it's a drawing your son or daughter did, and you want that to be highlighted for a little while. So I think the home case, I really do. I think that's kind of it's an interesting niche, and I'm not looking at going way out. That was that was a close second for me, Rod.
Yeah.
Go ahead and expand on that, Rod. What do you mean?
I would start something in the education business along the lines of whiteboards. Even if you said I'm going to find a way to like connect the whiteboard to e-ink tablets that are in the classroom. Low power. No, something simple like the Remarkable. No internet capability, so all you're doing is note taking and looking at textbooks. That kind of thing. I think that would, like, if somebody were to say, I'm just going to take ink into the classroom. Not only I think that's a shoe in. Not only if you're a private investor, but if you're in any kind of industry that's tech like facing, that's almost a no-brainer. Like you're gonna get the schools behind you because of the cost savings, and the energy people behind you because of the energy savings. It's just this just feels like something that was made for academia, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was
I,
a what was that? They went under. They didn't make it. But there was a company. It's not Papyrus.
oh, you're talking about
Pious.
Quark Logic, right? Quark
Yeah.
Logic had. I told you about this one, Rod. They had the Quilla. It's called the
They didn't do
Quilla.
it.
Yeah, that was the
They didn't do
Morning
it the right
Coach
way.
had it. Yeah,
They
Morning
didn't do it the
Coach.
right way.
JB had it.
But at least that's starting to move in the direction that you're talking
Yeah.
about.
You see, they weren't marketing to schools. They were marketing
No.
to consumers, and it's like you gotta say, okay, and I guarantee the first company that does this is gonna become millionaires. They gotta say, hey, we have this technology that's going to transform how you, your students, and your teachers work more efficiently, less paper use, less energy use, and something and a technology in itself that lends to just curiosity. You know what I mean? I think it's a shoe in for the industry for sure.
Here's why I agree with you. Theoretically, I 100% agree with you. As someone in the space, they just can't seem to get the price there. That's the biggest stumbling block. I've talked to faculty members and professors, and they look at the remarkable, and you take that per student per head, and it just becomes. I mean,
The thing is, with me, Ed, is there are whole school systems right now buying iPads for the whole district. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they took that money and bought e-ink tablets, think how much paper could be saved. Now you don't need. Not only is this device showing you your content that we're requiring you to know, you can also write on this. It's saving you paper. It's saving you going out and buying pens. It's saving, like I said, the battery savings alone. These things last for weeks instead of hours. So I think if the school system decided we were, and really to be honest with you, I think this is just about exposure. There's not. I don't think e-ink has the correct exposure to people who can make these kind of changes. And I think once e-ink does get on the radar of people who can make these kind of changes, it's going to be like, why didn't we do this sooner? I really believe that.
Yeah, the only reason I'd push back is because the reason iPads are in so many schools and the reason that Google is in every school is because they started free. Surfaces were in the schools for a long time for the same reason. Microsoft gave them away. iPads, Chromebooks, and then Google started charging for apps for education. Universities didn't pay for it until about 4 years ago. I'm not 100% sure, but 4 or 5 years ago, schools paid nothing for Google Workspace, all the way to the college level. So I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think both from an educational standpoint and from all of the things you just listed, it's a phenomenal technology. But when I mention it, I get faculty mentioning the Rocketbook because the Rocketbook is cheap, reusable, and it doesn't do it does some of the same things, but very few. But that's where their head's at because it's a huge investment up front if you're trying to go into the space. What we need is exactly what you said, in my mind, is for someone like Remarkable, like Amazon, like, because I don't think Ratta's in this game. They're not big enough. But one of the big companies or e-ink to figure out a way to make it accessible in the short term, because once you pilot it, then people get interested. Once they get interested, then they can.
It's a wrap.
Yep. And then it's there. So I think you're right on the exposure front. If you can get people there, I think it's one of the best things because it already does a lot of the stuff you're talking about. You can cast on almost any of these devices. So Vlad, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely interesting. I also wanted to poll you guys really quickly. What is the device you're using the most right now?
At work, I use the Manta, and at home, I'm using the Viwoods AI paper.
Okay. The big one.
Whoa.
Or the big one.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm using the Manta. I mean, and occasionally I'll go back to my A5X just because of nostalgia and making sure it's updated and the thing still works. The thing's still a beast. I mean, it still works well.
Is it noticeable, like in the UI? Like, do you feel it's like more lethargic, or is it not that noticeable?
It's a little sluggish, but I wouldn't say overly so. I wouldn't say like it's a night and day difference between the two. No, I think that if, and I've said it before, unless you need to upgrade, there's really no reason unless you want the dual sliders. That's the biggest value add the Manta has for me. But yeah, it's
because the A5X doesn't have the left slider.
It doesn't have the left,
so you can't do like undo, redo, all that stuff. There's just no. You have to.
There's no undo, redo. No.
In the back.
You can do you can do all of the finger gestures and all of the things on the right slider. You can't do anything that the left slider would be. And then actually the MobiScribe Wave for at home and reading. I prefer to read on it than I even do the Manta, even though it's a bigger screen on the Manta. The MobiScribe is just a nice little reader, and that's why I bought it.
What about for the price? It's almost a no-brainer. My device every day go to Nomad. I mean, the Go 10.3, of course. I mean, I've used it. That's my favorite device. But the one I use all the time is the Nomad, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, my Nomad still gets a lot of use. It's like
it's just a really good, hardy, throw it in your bag, don't even think about it kind of device. Small, so it fits anywhere. You could chuck this thing out of a car window. Don't do that.
Rod, do you prefer the feel of the Nomad or the Manta more when you're writing?
Oh, the Manta for sure. Yeah, I prefer the feel of the Manta. I wish they made a small Mobius display, but sadly, you know what though? I said I wish they made a small Mobius display. The MobiScribe is a small Mobius display.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think that's right.
They do. I guess they do. But yeah, I like the Manta better, feel wise.
Yeah.
That's it, though.
Yeah.
What about you, Vlad?
Yeah, probably Manta and Nomad probably the most. And then I've actually been digging back a lot into my Remarkable 2.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, the Remarkable 2 gets use. I don't really use the Remarkable Paper Pro like that too much, but the Remarkable 2 still gets use.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, it is pretty remarkable how well it's aged, I think.
It looks so... Just hold on. Just look at this. Oh, it just
my precious.
The design is just so nice.
Did you guys see this guy that made a e-ink PDA? Did anyone watch that video on YouTube?
Yeah, I saw it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I saw it.
I wasn't impressed by it.
No.
Only because he added an LCD to it. I'm like, dude, you defile the e-ink with LCD? Why?
I'm getting a couple of comments. You knew Aaron was going to say the Go 10.3. You knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We should. There was one person comment I wanted to get to. Joanne Shortell was talking about the school stuff. She mentioned she actually uses for homeschooling. She said, my homeschooling of my 9-year-old grandson uses a Supernote for all writing that he does. It's been great. I mean, come on. That's being put into action. You know what I mean? It's a great success. So, I mean, but I think we're all in agreement that it would be a good tool for students. So,
yeah. It's just getting it there. I'd be on the train, like cheerleading it. It's just, you'd have to have some high power behind it. And that might hurt the overall market. The e-ink market, because you wouldn't have certain companies being able to play in the game, because of their price or their different ecosystems. I don't know. It would be interesting. Amazon could do it. Amazon could do it tomorrow with the Scribe.
Absolutely. It would be a terrible experience, but they could do it.
But would it? See, that's the thing. That's kind of and really could Amazon do it? Because you'd have to be in the Amazon ecosystem, and textbooks aren't, for the most part, on ebook.
Yeah, and the privacy concerns with they're locking people out of certain types of files or that they used to read with. So that's another concern of mine too. They're not as open as they once were.
And publishers would fight back because of digital
Yeah.
publishing tools.
That's what I'm saying.
So
yeah,
there's a bunch
exactly.
of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, we're
Right.
all there for it, Rod, if we can get it.
For sure.
So Jeff,
I
I think that
Yeah, I feel like we're getting toward the end here, fellas. Do we have any last thoughts or comments we want to make?
well,
Yeah,
you still have to talk about your e-ink awards though, because somebody had a question.
yeah,
about
we
your
still
Big
let's,
Me
you know what,
award.
let's end on that.
Okay.
Let's talk about
Okay.
that.
Because
way to end it.
I have to say I agree with you on everything you said. Which
Ooh, let me get the Birdman hand rub going.
I do. I mean, I think you made a good case for all of it. There is some controversy over your Big Me pick, but I thought you made your case. So
So
Yeah,
Jeff,
well,
I haven't watched it yet. I just queued it up here. Can you just give me the brief takeaway?
Yeah, I gave away 7 awards. I mean, some of the details are in my honorable mentions. I won't mention that here for brevity. But best entry level, it was the Mobiscribe Wave. I get it while it lasts. Best note-taking device with the Manta. The best reading and annotating device was the 10.3. I should point out that the rules are that you can't win multiple awards, right? So each device can only win one.
Yep.
That's important. I gave
Or else
the
the
best
10.3
small
would have won
device-
a whole bunch of them.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. They were honorable mentions more than anybody. The best small device was the S6 Color Plus Lite, which is a repeat winner. That's the controversial one in the comments. The best medium AI paper from Viwood's, the 10-inch. The best large Note Max, that was a walk off. And then the
Yeah.
best overall was the Note Air 4C.
I knew that would get Rod.
So which one do you
I
want
would
me
do
to
it twice
defend?
if it didn't sound
the
weird.
Note Air 4C or the S6 Color Plus Lite?
The Note Air 4C. But you know, that's just my own personal. I got a personal vendetta against the Note Air 4C. That's all. It's just it's nothing.
Vendetta?
It's not you, Jeff, at all. It's the Note Air 4C.
I need to hear this vendetta. Did it kill your dad? What are we talking about here?
Well, the Note Air 4C to me, it was my entryway into the letdown. It was like up until the Note Air 4C, I hadn't seen any kinks in the Onyx Boox armor. Like there was nothing to point a finger at. And mind you, I was coming off the high of the 10.3. Just a fabulous device though. I'm coming off the high of the 10.3, so I'm thinking, great. The Note Air 4C, they replaced it. They fixed some problems. They didn't fix other ones. They created new problems. Like optimization. Not to me, it just felt like it just never got optimized. Did you feel that way at all, or was that okay? Cool. That was my issue.
Oh, okay. No, I felt so compared to the Go 10.3, and we're talking about little degrees, right? I love the 10.3 as well.
Right.
But the Note Air 4C, I thought was more responsive, and despite Kaleido 3's ghosting, handled ghosting better than the 10.3.
Okay.
What I would also say, and this is maybe a bit that I didn't emphasize, but probably should have, especially as you're talking about applications, apps are not designed to run on e-ink, right? And when it comes to certain apps like reading apps, they're totally fine. But there are certain apps where you can't see menu items in black and white. You can see them in color. So even though there's a lot of issues that folks have with color, and I understand that, it still does add utility to the device, ultimately, particularly if you're starting to branch out in the application space. And so that's what kind of edges that out for me. But the performance in the Ford Air C is amazing. Like, it is snappy as hell.
Holy cow! Like, I don't know what it is. It's got to be me, because
Oh, yeah.
like
No, it is.
It's definitely me because Aaron doesn't have the problems I have on his Go 10.3. I mean, I didn't have these issues, to be fair, up front. Like I just started having these issues after the update started getting pushed for the firmware version 4.0. That's when my 10.3 experience started to take a dive. But my Note Air 4C experience just never seemed to reach a point to where I felt like it was usable over my other devices. And so it always rubbed me the wrong way. But again, I'm realizing that my experience with some of these devices isn't everyone's experience because, like I said, Aaron's device doesn't have half the problems mine has, and he's on the same firmware version I'm on. So,
user error.
you know.
That's all right. Jeff, that's how you tell me with the Supernote gestures. User error.
Yeah.
But he ain't
Listen,
listening.
maybe I'm using these devices in a way that's not conducive to how they're working. Okay, I'll give it that. I push things far. I push them too far sometimes. So maybe.
No,
But to comment on the comment on the screen, the Note Air 4C versus the Tab Ultra C Pro price point's the difference for me.
yeah. And the reason I said I agreed with everything you said in that video, Jeff, is because you took a really, I think, measured view. I mean, would it be the devices I picked? Probably not. But at the same time, I think you very deliberately went through your case. You know, someone put in the comment that how could I say that the Nomad shouldn't have won the small, over the BigMe? Well, I can say that because, first of all, that's not my device. The Nomad to me isn't a device I would recommend unless somebody wanted a device of that size. If they wanted a device of that size, then that's a different conversation. But if they wanted a device with color, if they wanted a device, so the fact that you took that broad view, I think is really telling to why your, channel is what it is, that you really kind of look at that rounded perspective.
Totally, and I think I mentioned this in the video, and it's worth calling out, particularly on that category. Like I threw out the 7-inch devices because I just think they're too small. Well, what if you disagree with that? Well, if you disagree with that, you're probably going with a different device, or part of the reason why I highlighted the BigMe device so much is that I'm focusing more on it as a reader and what it can do with apps, and less on the note-taking aspects, which are clearly its weaker area. If you were more focused on note-taking, then you would go probably with a Nomad, right? It's the better note-taking device. Totally. So, there's obviously my perspective heavily colors that, but yeah.
I think it's commendable. It's terribly brave whenever you do something like that. So, kudos.
Brave with me wearing the bow tie.
Not everybody can pull off the bow tie. My youngest son
absolutely
can pull off a bow tie, and you, my friend Jeffrey Moss, can pull off the bow tie.
I 100% agree with that.
First time ever. Never
I
wore
pulled
a bow
that
tie
up
before that video.
I pulled that up at lunch, and I laughed out loud. I was just like, not in a bad way. Just I didn't expect it. It was like shock that you're sitting there in a bow tie.
I wore it for the shock value.
Awesome. Well, fellas, listen. It's always good to get with you guys and talk tech and e-ink and all the stuff that we get into. It's always fun.
And believe it or not, I think we actually came full circle and hit everything. Which, for those of you in the audience, I mean, and we're still at 14, for those of you who stuck in there, for us to hit this, we actually do plan, and then we go off the rails, and then we still circle back and manage to hit pretty much everything. So, but if there are more comments, drop them down, finish out the chat, drop them down in the comments below. I say it every time, I'll say it again. If you aren't subscribed to these guys' channels, you're missing way too much. You should know as much as they know because they're amazing. And all of us does something different.
Oh, Ed, you're amazing.
Vlad, no, seriously, you guys, I consider all of you friends, and I think that this has been a really fun experience for me because we all come at it from different directions. And
Yeah,
that's
I
what
think
kind of,
the timing worked out pretty well too, because they're like in the past couple weeks there were a lot of announcements.
yeah.
Perfect. Me
Absolutely.
and Ed were talking about that. It's perfect timing. Yeah.
Yeah, but as always,
I credit Jeff to that. I think Jeff threw this date out there. So
Yeah.
Yep.
good call, Jeff. Good
I
call.
was slacking off, but then I felt like I had to do something.
Whatever, you're the MC, man. You're like, but yeah, seriously, I'll revise the details, the description after this, probably within the next week. I'll chapter it out like I normally do, but these guys' channels are linked in the bottom. Feel free, jump in, check them out, subscribe to them, and follow everything they do. It's well worth it.
Absolutely.
thanks for
Thank you
hosting,
guys
Sarah,
for having me.
Same with your channel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thanks you guys for being here. Thanks for being so awesome, fellas. And thanks for like dealing with
Thanks
me.
for the
I appreciate
comments.
you.
Yes. We all
That's a
thank you for
full-time
doing it
job
wrong.
right there.
I know, right?
Have a good one, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Take care,
right.
fellas.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.